Today I have one useless fact about every US president. Let's go. George Washington's teeth were really bad. Rumors said he had wooden teeth, but that's not actually true. His dentures were a mix of cow and horse teeth, and he even bought some teeth from African-American slaves. John Adams had a dog named Satan. Both Thomas Jefferson and his predecessor John Adams died the same day, the 4th of July, 1826. 50 years after they had both written the Declaration of Independence, James Madison's face is on the very rare $5,000 bill that's still possible to use. A bill in very good condition went for more than $100,000 at an auction in 2010. Treasury Secretary William H. Crawford once became so angry at President James Monroe that he began whipping his cane at the president. Monroe responded by grabbing fireplace tongs to defend himself. John Quincy Adams is in the oldest known photo of a US president. Andrew Jackson survived the first assassination attempt on a US president when both of his assailants' pistols misfired, allowing Jackson to charge at him with his cane before bystanders intervened. Martin Van Buren wrote an autobiography without mentioning his wife, with whom he had 6 children. William Henry Harrison died after only 1 month in office. When he took office, he held an incredibly long inauguration speech, lasting more than 2 hours outside in the cold. During the speech, he wore no coat or hat, possibly leading to the cold that killed him a month later. John Tyler had 15 children, and he actually still has a living grandson. That's really impressive, considering John Tyler was born in 1790. James K. Polk himself did not expect to run for president. But with Martin Van Buren's unpopular stance on the annexation of Texas, the party went through 9 ballots before compromising on Polk as their pick for president. Zachary Taylor had never voted in any presidential election before he was running for president himself. Millard Fillmore fell in love with and married his teacher. Franklin Pierce's personal life was marked by tragedy. All his children died young, with his last surviving son, Benny, killed in a horrific train accident before Pierce's inauguration. Shortly afterward, his vice president, William Rufus King, also died. James Buchanan is the only president in history who was never married. Abraham Lincoln's killer, John Wilkes Booth, attended the president's inauguration and can be seen in the background of this photo. Andrew Johnson is the only president to serve as a senator after his term as president, serving 4 months in 1875 until his death. Ulysses S. Grant was arrested for riding his horse and buggy too fast down a street in Washington, D.C. while in office. There's a Paraguayan football team named Club Presidente Hayes, after Rutherford B. Hayes's efforts to help the country retain the Chaco region during a territorial dispute with Argentina. James Garfield could write Latin with one hand and Greek with the other hand at the same time. Fashion was very important for Chester Arthur, and he often changed outfit multiple times each day. He reportedly owned more than 80 pairs of pants. Grover Cleveland personally executed 2 men while serving as Erie County Sheriff. Rather than pay a $10 fine to avoid the responsibility, he chose to hang 2 convicted murderers himself. Benjamin Harrison brought electricity to the White House, but was so nervous about the new technology that he had a servant turn on the lights for him. Back to Grover Cleveland. He was the first president to leave the White House and return for a second term 4 years later. William McKinley had a pet parrot named Washington Post. McKinley appointed him as the official White House greeter, and Washington Post became quite popular, often welcoming women with the phrase, "Look at all the pretty girls." Theodore Roosevelt was attending Abraham Lincoln's funeral procession. In this image, you can see young Roosevelt sitting in the window in the background. At over 330 pounds, Taft was the heaviest president in US history. There's a popular but unconfirmed rumor that he got stuck in the White House bathtub and needed 6 aides to help him out. Following this incident, the tub was replaced with a larger one capable of holding 4 men. Woodrow Wilson kept a flock of sheep at the White House lawn. The sheep maintained the lawn by eating grass, reducing manpower needs during World War I. Warren Harding wore size 14 shoes, making his the largest feet of any US president. Calvin Coolidge is one of only 4 presidents having the first and last name starting with the same letter. Before 1913, the United States never had a president with both names starting with the same letter, but out of the next 4 presidents, only one didn't have matching first and last names. Herbert Hoover refused to accept a salary for his presidency and gave all of his paychecks to charity while in office. Franklin D. Roosevelt suffered from triskaidekaphobia, also known as the fear of the number 13. He was so scared that he would refuse to travel on the 13th day of any month. Just like Ulysses S. Grant, the S in Harry S. Truman does not stand for anything. Dwight D. Eisenhower had the squirrels from the White House grounds removed after they continually dug up the putting green he had installed near the Oval Office. As an avid golfer, Eisenhower was frustrated and ordered his people to shoot the squirrels, but the Secret Service instead opted to trap them and relocate them to Rock Creek Park. During World War II, John F. Kennedy's patrol boat was struck by a Japanese destroyer, leaving him and his crew stranded for about a week after the boat sank. Kennedy swam several miles to an island, where he coordinated their rescue with local islanders. Lyndon B. Johnson was reportedly very eager to let people around him know that he had an unusually large penis. He used to refer to his member as Jumbo. One time when a reporter asked why America had troops in Vietnam, Johnson replied, "That's why," as he pulled Jumbo out. Richard Nixon appointed Elvis Presley as an honorary agent of the Narcotics Bureau during a visit to the White House. Presley expressed his concerns about the growing drug culture in America and offered to help combat drug abuse among youth. Gerald Ford could have played in the NFL after being named the University of Michigan's most valuable player in 1934. He received offers from the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers, but chose to coach football and boxing at Yale while pursuing a law degree instead. A Japanese interpreter once translated a joke that Jimmy Carter delivered during a lecture as, "President Carter told a funny story. Everyone must laugh." Ronald Reagan saved 77 lives in his 7 years of working as a lifeguard during the summers in his younger years. While attending a banquet hosted by Japanese Prime Minister Kiichi Miyazawa, George H.W. Bush vomited in the Miyazawa's lap before fainting. Jeffrey Epstein probably needs no introduction, but did you know he had a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress hanging in his home? Like his father, George W. Bush was actually a cheerleader during his time in Yale University. Barack Obama has won 2 Grammy Awards and 2 Emmy Awards in 1990. Spy magazine sent 13-cent checks to some of the world's richest people. Only 2 cashed them. Donald Trump was one of them. Joe Biden tried to run for office 2 times before he managed to win in 2020. The first time was in 1988 when he withdrew from the race because of a plagiarized speech. He also tried in 2008 but did not gain momentum. Finally, I have a question for you. Which president added a bowling alley to the White House? Write your answer in the comments section.